How's it hanging, fellas? I'm OrosZ and this is another episode of Terraria, and in today's episode, well, I don't remember what we're gonna do in today's episode. We're getting attacked by zombies. I started recording at night. This might be one of the episodes that I actually recorded right after the previous one. When I sat down in the evening just to play this game with my friend, I recorded a couple of episodes. Sometimes I record just one. I remember one time I recorded 2-hour-long episodes and then I lost one of them. So that's really annoying. I got more of this milkshake thing. It's really good. See, I was talking about how I was reviewing these fucking energy drinks and some of the other fucking videos I made. And then I realized, man, all of these are shit. Well, except the monster ones. I like those ones, but like the whatever tiger ones I bought, those are kind of lame. They didn't really taste it all that good. Now this is what I should be reviewing. Pillows, milk drink, vanilla flavored. Such milkshake. It's really good. It says it has fucking vitamin E, B1, B2, B6. I'm all the B. I'm GZB, that's right. Bringing you vitamin B. It's the second fucking bottle of this milk drink I have. For some reason I had 2 in the fridge, so I was like, fuck yeah, milkshake, bitch. Talking about Rambo last episode for a while, and after we finished watching Rambo 1, the one where he murders cops, I really liked it, we watched Rambo 2. I feel like Rambo 2 begins really cool because it doesn't fucking begin with like, oh, I'm John Rambo, I'm in this prison for this, whatever, blah blah blah. He just kind of in prison, he's digging through rocks, and then his kind of dad, I like to call him his dad, because it's like, this is the guy who trained him and everything. And this is the guy who, when he showed up, Rambo stopped shooting in the first movie and he just broke up. He just broke crying, right? Because he just got so fucking upset. And I like to call him his dad, and I don't know why I fucking went back to this desert dungeon. It's not really, I don't know, maybe I haven't fully explored it yet. So whatever the reason, in this one he comes back to Vietnam because he has to rescue hostages that were there. And there are these other characters that I thought they're gonna assist him in this mission, because this is like one guy who has like a revolver attached to his, he has like a revolver holster on his chest, like a pin with a smiley face on it. And I thought, like, since I never seen the movie before, I thought like, okay, he's gonna join him and he's gonna be this funny friend who pisses him off at first, but then he kind of gets used to him and he's like actually friends with him, and he's gonna get killed and Rambo's gonna realize that he just cannot have friends, because every time he has friends they're all dying, and he's gonna be upset. The fuck was that? Nothing interesting. And I forgot. I was talking about Rambo? Yeah, Rambo. And Rambo 2, he goes to Vietnam and he finds the hostages and he's basically asked to just take pictures of them. But he's not gonna take just pictures. You fucking know this movie is not about fucking Rambo photography mission. It's about Rambo murdering people, right? So he ignores that. He takes one of those guys and he's about to rescue him. And the helicopter comes down. But then the guy who's like at the secret base, that I thought they were in America and they just flew to Vietnam, but that must have been like a secret base in Vietnam. Because later in the movie when they go to that base, they go there in like a broken down helicopter, so I refuse to believe they flew over the ocean in a broken helicopter. They must have flown over just a couple of kilometers away to the fucking base, right? And yeah, and the guy ends up like telling the helicopter to fly off, because the mission of that guy, you know, he told Rambo to save the hostages. I mean, he'd take pictures of them, because then he would come back with the pictures would disappear, and they would be like, there's no hostages there, we don't need to go back and rescue them, because basically the subplot in Rambo movies is that you know how much Rambo has sacrificed of his life. Pretty much he just dedicated his life to serving his country. But his country doesn't want to serve him, you know, it's not the kind of... Oh, nice, sand fell on my face. Somehow I didn't die because it glitched through it for some reason. But what the fuck kind of trap was that? How was I supposed to see that coming? I just saw sand at the top. But there's like sand everywhere in this stupid fucking place. This place is made out of sand. How was I supposed to know that this one piece of sand is gonna fall on my face? Oh, milkshakes. I mean, really like the settings. I thought the whole camp, like how the camps in Vietnam are always made of like wood and sticks. Put it together, I thought that was like... It's not very sturdy looking. But whatever. The Russians were kind of weird. My friend, who's into like well, not military, but like planes and all that stuff, he pointed out how the Russians are flying an American helicopter, just with a big star slapped inside of it. And then from that point on, you couldn't really take them seriously because it's like, so what? They stole a helicopter from the fucking Americans? Which I guess, you know, the movie probably was made by Americans. So they probably took like an American helicopter. They were like, oh well, we gotta slap the star on it so people know that it's the Russian one, right? So they don't think that those Russians are collaborating with the Americans. They're like betraying their own people or something like that, even though they do, but whatever. The fight when the helicopter, when one of the guys fell out because Rambo like kicked him out over his head, that was really cool. Overall, every character that was like important, because like every character that like was in that scene where they tortured him and they electrocuted Rambo for information, they end up dying in really cool ways. Except I wasn't sure for one guy. There was like one guy who shot one of the hostages in the back, and Rambo shot him. I thought that was like the main bad Russian guy, but I guess it wasn't him because then I guess he didn't. I mean, he got shot in the face, so he had to die. Later, one of the Russians comes back in a different helicopter, and they have a helicopter battle, which is really cool. I close the door. Yeah. And Rambo also for like half of the movie had like this Taiwanese spy friend. He was like a cute Asian chick, and I was like, oh man, Rambo's gonna have an anime waifu, but she dies and he buries her in like shit, which I thought was kind of funny looking. Made her a little grave and pile of shit. I guess these lags were too short for me to notice them while I was going through this footage so fast, because if I went through this footage, just played it, I would, what, like sit there? I don't fucking care to sit there and watch my own gameplay for like half an hour. So you gotta excuse me for this questionable quality gameplay. Sorry about that. And the moment where, oh, now I fucking die. Because I don't think I dig myself, or maybe I do. No, I didn't. This is bullshit. How was I supposed to dig myself out quick? I even reacted so quickly to this, and I was immediately digging myself out, and I still didn't. Stupid. Some stupid shit. I don't know what he's doing, but he's getting like a lot of money. And I just stood in his way and stole all of his money that he was trying to get. Because I'm a thief and a cheater. So, yeah. I think he was upset a little bit. I don't remember. Actually, I don't think I ever seen boss upset over anything. And so his waifu died. And there was a really cool scene during that torture when he was supposed to call the HQ, the guy who like told, like kind of betrayed them. And he was like, oh Rambo, it's good to hear you, we were worried, right? That he already figured out, because the Russians told him, that he's the one who ordered the helicopter to fly away because they captured that piece of conversation. And instead of like telling them, like the Russians wanted Rambo to tell his location to him, so they would send a helicopter, and then I guess they would like capture the helicopters, so they would find out where the Americans are stationed in Vietnam or something, because I guess they were hidden. And Rambo ends up telling the guy who told the helicopter to fly away that he's coming for him. And you could see the guy over the headphones and he was like, oh shit. And in the end, he didn't kill the guy. He shot all the recording equipment they had, so I guess he destroyed all their, I don't know, information they had or some reason, or some bullshit. He saved all the hostages. I think one of them got shot and got patched up later, so no one died. All apart from the Asian chick. And all the bad guys. And then he was about to like stab him, like he told him how he serves his country and it's because of shit like him that he hates it or something like that, and then he stabbed the table next to him, right? Not the guy, and yeah, in the end of the movie he just kind of gets out of there on his own. He just goes away. And like his colonel, the dad kind of character, asked him where he's going, and he's like, whatever. I don't remember what he said, but he's basically just going away and who knows where. So overall, I can't really decide on which one of those I like more, because I definitely like how the bad guys in the first one were so fucking annoying that I just wanted to see them die. I just wanted to see Rambo fuck him up. But also, the second movie I feel like was more what you think of Rambo. You know, Vietnam and all that. So, here's what I thought last episode what I'm gonna do. Look, I really kind of ran out of things to say. I covered all the fucking gaming news that recently happened. I talked about this game and my relationship with it, my history with it. I talked about all that cool stuff. I talked about the movies I've seen. And now I got like 20 minutes left of this footage, so what I thought I would do, just to cover any kind of anything, you know, I would read fanfictions. How about that? Because I remember when I like Game Grumps reading Sonic fanfictions, that was really funny, but so I thought I would do that myself. It's fucking noises. But I want to find these ones that are kind of older. Terraria, a dark planet, a reluctant Terrarian. Is it by the same person? No, it's just called that. Shade Spell, the lost daughter of fire and brimstone. Hero. Awards. 3k, 70k, 7k, 97k. That's a lot of words. Pancake Journey, that sounds stupid. Unknown. I'm looking at the amount of words in each one of them. This one's really fucking short, I guess. I guess the first one seems the... Well, not the first one. A Reluctant Terrarian by Spider Z. How about that one? That one has like a lot of fucking words. One chapter out of 29. Sounds pretty long, so without further ado, let's start reading this. Chapter 1, an introduction of sorts. Lying dirt in the dirt, he wasn't... Lying. I thought it was his name, sorry. Lying there in the dirt, he wasn't sure what he hated more. The pain coursing through his limbs from falling, or the barely contained amusement the guy learned over him was wearing on his face. I don't know if I'm reading this right, fucking who cares. Taking an inventory, he realized that aside from his clothing, he had nothing of value on him. You look lost, the smug and overwise, unremarkable guy standing over him eventually said in a cold and oddly distant voice. No, I just like lying out in the dirt in the middle of... Trailing off, he realized he didn't have anything to finish that with. Deciding that he was at least done lying in the dirt, he took the stranger proffered hand and allowed himself to be pulled up on his feet. So, looking around, he realized that not only wasn't he sure where he was, but he wasn't too sure where he come from. The last thing he could... it's an amnesia story. The last thing he could recall was getting dressed. Where? I don't know. Terraria, the stranger offered, a smile just barely concealed in his almost tangibly piercing gaze. Terraria where? He replied, having just realized that the last thought must have been out loud, and who are you anyway? He added. Terraria, and I am here to guide you for now, answered the guide. The stranger answered unhelpfully. Looking around, he could see that. Oh, it's like the beginning of the game, like he fell from the sky. But we didn't fall from the sky, like he made his character, and that's why he has no memories. And I could write a fanfiction about GZB, you know, what the fuck was he up to, except it would be a fanfiction about a lot of games. Looking around, he could see that there were quite a few trees in every direction, and the ground seemed to rise and fall erratically, as if this area had been drawn of a rather large existed child. From their vantage, he could just make out the tips of some mountain range through the terrain, thinner upper branches of the north. Halfway through this video, so I gotta keep track of the time. Well, okay, guide, which way takes me home? Whatever that was. He asked, nothing like the realization that he really had no idea where he called home. The smile returning to his lips, the stranger tossed him a copper blade axe. Moments before was nowhere to be seen. Instinctively catching it, he was both surprised at his reflex and uncomfortable with the weapon's sudden appearance. That is entirely up to you, the stranger said, by the way of an answer. I don't get it, he replied. Am I going to need this for protection? Well, sir. Sufficient. What? No stuff. What the fuck is this word? I will work for that as well. However, one typically uses an axe to fell trees, such as those surrounding us in the clearing. The stranger answered him, I imagine that there are enough around us for home to be wherever you desire. Giving the stranger an incredulous look, he replied, there is a lot of wrong with what you just said. First off, I'm no lumberjack. I don't know the first thing about cutting down trees. Not that I imagine it's too awfully difficult. Secondly, what am I supposed to do with an entire freaking tree once I manage to fell it? It might be rather strong for my frame, but that's pushing things just a bit, don't you think? Finally, and actually most importantly, I have absolutely no interest in home being anywhere other than where it already is. I'm not a carpenter either, and I thought of building a home way out of here in the middle of nowhere doesn't really appeal to me. Seemingly unmotivated by his word, infuriating smile still curling on the corner of his lips, the stranger only replied, home hall, it doesn't really matter. You'll need somewhere to hide once night arises. What do you mean by that? He yelled, beginning to lose his patience with the guy's sideways speech. It's really fucking hot in this room, especially that I closed every fucking window. There are dangers at night for the unprepared, and for the immediate future, that includes you. To address your caring concerns, take this as well, the stranger replied, still unfazed as he undid the belt of pouches he wore at his waist before tossing it to him. Wearing what had to be a look of absolute disbelief, he caught the belt and just stood there looking at the stranger anew. Perhaps that piercing look he noticed before he was merely madness, and the stranger was simply out of his mind. That would explain his near nonsensical answer, though. He looked too clean to be a mad man wandering alone in the woods, so it had to be something else. Listen, I don't think what you're talking about, and I'm not interested in finding out. Why don't you just point me towards the nearest city, village, town, mud hat, whatever you have, and I'll figure it out from there. He responded immediately, slowly lowering the belt, not sure if he wanted to put it on or not. It wasn't madness. The look he received was too keen, too something else, to be madness. The nearly surreal, palely violet of stranger's eyes was almost too present, and there was something else, something that settled just beyond his awareness, and menaced him from there. All in all, he was quickly becoming less comfortable in the stranger's presence until... Look, let me help you out, the stranger said. His whole countenance seemed to fall into itself, causing him to look wary and travel warm. The keenness had completely left his gaze and the menacing presence was lifted. It was almost as if he just got up and become an entirely different person right before his eyes. I'm sorry, the stranger began. I've been here for far longer than I'd wish for anyone, and sometimes the plague just gets to me. I'm sorry for coming across so cold. Let me show you something, he finished, walking over to the nearest tree. Put that belt on, you'll see why in a few minutes. Still not sure if he quite trusted the stranger, and very uneasy about what just witnessed. He still decided that it probably wouldn't be dangerous to humor the guy for a little bit anyway. He was completely lost physically and grasping at the straws mentally, so in the hope that his compliance would lead to something he could be sure of. Even if that something was how little he should trust a stranger, he decided to play along. At the least, he wasn't expecting inaccessibility unsettling just begin near to him. Inexplicably unsettled just begin near to him. Yeah, I can't fucking read. I'm sorry about that. What is your name anyway? He asked again. He put the belt on and made his way over to the tree. Well, what you called me earlier, Guile? That sounds as good a name as any, the stranger answered, undoubtedly more tired than it would have seemed possible moments before. Not wanting to argue, he just accepted that odd response and gave Guile a look and as if to say, now what? Now just take a few blows at the tree with that axe and try not to be alarmed, Guy said before stepping back from the tree in question. Not sure what he should expect, he looked up at the tree for a moment before he began. They were certainly an odd sort of growth, mostly trunk with the odd few limbs and bobs of leaves primarily closer to the top. Taking a deep breath, he drew back the axe and swung at the tree with all his might. This succeeded, and the blade glancing on the trunk and almost lodging itself into its leg. Dropping an axe due to the violent vibration coursing through it and jumping back, he turned to the guy, ready to ask him what the big deal was, only to have his rage elevated by the laughter of his guide. You're thinking about it too hard, he managed to get out between his breaths. What the heck are you talking about? He hollered back. What does that have to do with the tools not being sufficient for the task at hand? He yelled. The tool is just fine, guy responded, mostly composed. You aren't from around here, so trust me when I say you're thinking about it too hard. I know it's kind of hard to wrap your mind around it, but you don't need to understand, you just need to work with it. What I do is what I need to work with to cut down a blamed tree, he replied, still yelling. This world is a deeply magical place. I don't know where you came from, but I can assure you that here everything is touched by the power of the world. If you don't work with that power, you're working against it, and his countered something, darkened briefly for a moment. That presence was almost back. That takes more than you have within your fleshy little frame, he answered, his voice once more distant and empty before returning to his previous demeanor, weary and travel-worn, all trace of humor gone. Chilled once more by this obvious change, he composed himself and considered Giles' words. So how do I do that? How much longer we have? How much longer we have of this fucking fanfiction? Trust your tool and not your strength, this now somber guide answered you. Here, the quality of your tool makes all the difference. You need not to wear yourself out trying to make your tools work. Once assembled, your tools will work for you. This sounded like Borderlands nonsense, but he decided that it couldn't hurt, hopefully to give it a try. If this didn't pan out though, he was going to check the guy down, rumbling up to his insanity. Of all uncertain kind, and find his own way. So how do I trust my tool? Just swing your axe at the tree, don't force it at the tree, just swing it, and you know that it will cut it. Feeling absolutely ridiculous, he picked up the axe back up, took a deep breath and just swung it at the tree. Not trying to put his force behind the swing, he couldn't imagine what he was supposed to be accomplishing. The axe made a rather satisfying thwomp and dug visibly into the bark. And seemingly genuine smile crossing Giles' lip, and he motioned for him to continue his assault on the tree. He wasn't sure what had him more unbalanced, his lack of understanding his overall situation, the man who was more than he seemed, or the fact that merely swinging an axe without regard was enough to solidly dig into the tree that moments before he had replied his best effort. He wasn't sure, and from the next few moments he didn't care. There was something almost oh my god, I know this word, I can't pronounce it. Therapeutical about the steady thwomp noises the axe made as it dug into the tree. His few moments of respite were soon taken from him. However, his ward erupted into a shower of wood. Having lost himself in the steady rhythm of the axe, he was completely ill-prepared for Tree's sudden explosion. Having already been through quite enough, he reacted as any responsible person in an increasingly psychological stern situation would have. He threw the axe with no regard to its landing place and ran screaming for cover. With no destination, no idea where he was, and really not enough sense to consider any of that at the moment, he charged headlong into the misshaped, lightly wooden hills. Well, that's the end of the first page. Chapter 2. I'm not gonna read the chapter 2 this episode, we're running out of time. But I noticed something in this fanfiction that isn't exactly right. The guy doesn't fucking welcome you to the game, he just shows up at the after you do, so he should have been the first one in the game and the guide should have just followed him. The guy, maybe like the fanfiction should have begun with him waking up all alone in some woods, and then he ran into the guide. Maybe the guide runs into him and yells for help or something, or maybe he like yells for explanation and the guy just knows everything. Once again, I never even spoke to the guide in this game, maybe once by accident. I only spoke to the people that offered to sell something. I wasn't even looking at the screen, so I'm not even sure what are we doing exactly in this episode, by the way. We're in the corrupted zone. We went to the left. And we went to the left and we ran into the dungeon. There's a dungeon to the left, you could see it. That dungeon's pretty important. This is where you kind of activate the final boss in the game. But it's also somewhere you also activate a boss, a different boss. There's a lot of stuff about that dungeon. It's not just a rare thing that happened in my game. This happens in every game. The dungeon has to spawn because later in the game you summon the final boss from it. On easy mode you summon a big Skeletron from it, that's the name of the boss, Skeletron. And also you can go down the dungeon and there's like fucking orcs there and you can fight them if you want. Man, I thought by the end of the chapter I would have already recorded the whole thing. What time is it, by the way? Yeah, about what I thought. Late. It's late. Because obviously I started recording late. If I wasn't, I would be already long fucking done with this. If I started recording this normal fucking time. And then I render those videos and upload them today, right? Ah, brother. It's gonna be annoying. I rendered my milkshakes. I got nothing to live for. I got no milkshakes, I got no nothing. I got 2 blue stars though. Can expand my magic points. You can see on the right side of the screen that I expanded my magic points. But does it really matter? I'm not even using anything magical in the game anyway. So I think for the longest time we don't have any events happening in the game. There are Blood Moon events, there's Frost Moon events, Pumpkin Moon events, some other events, there's a lot of stuff like that, where your house basically gets invaded by an onslaught of monsters and you have to defend it from them. One thing I'm surprised today is that my throat still doesn't hurt. I feel like I'm still fine. Which is pretty odd. There's the guide to the right, that motherfucker that seems to be the main character of this fucking weird fanfiction. I didn't say it's gonna be like the Half-Life one where it's just fucking ridiculous and stupid. Because I don't know any stupid Terraria fanfiction. I just looked at the longest one so I could read it for a couple of episodes, just in case I happen not to have anything to say. Like I did in this episode where this is the 3rd episode I'm recording today, so I ran out of things to say. So here you go. What was it called? Something Terrarian, I think that's what it was called. Terrarian? I don't know, who cares. Had some names, there's banners in this game, you can place them, and if you place them they grant you you deal more damage against whichever the enemy that the banner represents is. I think we're actually gonna fight a boss in this episode. Because boss made a platform. And I guess he made a platform for a reason. Isn't that right? Yeah, he made nighttime. And now there's a boss fight against the Eye of Cthulhu, which is a big flying creepy looking eye. Man, my eye looked this fucking bloody last week. I had no fucking idea why. I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, what the fuck is wrong with my eyes? It's just like all broken, just had these like fucking veins or whatever, blood in it. I mean, not like blood in it, like it was like dripping blood, but like this eye looks like it has those little, I don't know what to call those branches kind of looking things. Now it opened his teeth in them. It's creepy as fuck, man. And we didn't even got anything that great out of it. Later, if you, I don't know, if this was kind of lame. Later in the game I also summon a couple of those and I just fight them for no reason. I was just kind of bored. So I was like, oh whatever, let's not summon shit on all those guys. So, I feel like we're running out of this episode, thankfully, because I'm sick of sitting here talking. Well, obviously I haven't been finishing episodes, so obviously, because I was kind of constantly recording. So see you fellas in the next episode, bye.